Hey everybody, welcome. Sorry I missed last week. I did some brain thinkings, I would say, and yeah, so I'm gonna try to get the word out more if I have to miss a live stream because a lot of people just were like, "Hey, where were you?" And so we'll get into that. And yeah, so this stream we're gonna start off with talking about what I learned last weekend, and then Q&A. I was just noticing my face is lit differently. The setup's different. You can see my shoddy thing that I never fixed. It's a little floppy, but the camera never went that high before. So now, with this new little setup going on in here, it's a little different. So bear with me while we do the constructions. All right, so last week we had a wicked storm out of nowhere. I literally had no idea. I had Fish Tank Mike up from Aqua Pros. He was coming over. We were trying to do some work together. You were going to shoot some videos. Well, it turns out that wicked storm that snuck up on us blew over some trees. So in my backyard, one cottonwood came down, no damage, no problem, not even really in the way. So like, yeah, it's fine. Got to see it. That was kind of crazy. Definitely made me scared. And then we had a big, like, I don't know, Douglas fir type of tree, pine tree, come down. And it was, this thing's like hundreds of feet in the air. Like, it's those trees where you look up and you're like, dang, that's really tall. Well, it had like an extra piece that came off of it that snapped off. And so here's the main tree, right? And this thing kind of snapped and fell about 10 feet away from the studio. So luckily it didn't hit the studio and was like 10 feet away from Mike's car. Didn't hit the car either. But with all that, that was just in my yard. So then around, there was tons of trees down, tons of power lines, and we lost power for about 46 hours. And so I actually learned quite a bit more than I normally do in the average weekend. So I'm going to share that knowledge that I gained with you guys. And then I also learned that do I have any sitting around? Where'd they go? Yeah, right here. The Wildcat coin works. So I gave out the second one ever to Dan Molstad, who, let me make sure it's Molstad or Molstead. I don't see it at the moment, but I'll relearn that if I got it wrong. Met him while we were going for lunch. So I think it was Saturday comes around, power's out. We're like, we got to go do something. Let's go get some lunch, dinner type of thing, because we had no power. And so as we're getting out to go to the restaurant, Dan spots us because I'm wearing an Aquariumcoop hoodie because it's cold because we got no power. And, I just look like a maniac because there's no showering because I don't have power. I'm on a well, so I can't pressurize the water. And I've got bedhead like I do, which, by the way, I treat Sundays like hopefully you guys are treating Sundays. And that's wake up like, I don't have to go to work today. I'm going to work on fish tanks or, hang out and do the live stream. And that's kind of how I treat it because today is technically not a work day for me. I'm supposed to be resting up to work hard on the weekdays. And so I'm treating it like that. So, I mean, I did make sure that I changed my shirt and stuff. But anyway, so the Wildcat coin works because we're just hungry and cold. And, we kind of do the quick meet and greet. Hey, here's a coin. We talked brief history. And then I was like, all right, you can redeem this at some point. Or just cherish it and sell on eBay for like $4 billion in the year 2029, which I know you got to sit on that for like 6 years, but 20 billion's worth it. Anyway, so now he can redeem it for, a lunch or dinner or something like that, like kind of like an hour hangout of like, now's not the opportune time when I haven't showered and my power's out at home and I've got a guest, but we could schedule ahead of time, redeem that, that coin. Which redeeming, by the way, means you give it up. It's not just like, well, I'm going to, use it and get it back. It's a redeeming thing. But it totally worked well in the wild. So working as intended. And you get to blow Mike's mind. So that was fun too. Do I take the coin back when it's redeemed? Oh, you bet I do. You bet I do. Anyway, so power is out. What did I learn? So I learned that each time the power goes out, I go longer and longer seeing what will happen. Because I get a little more confident. I'm like, yeah, well, I've done that before and it was fine. And so this time, I didn't turn any heat on at all. Like I didn't get a propane heater out, I didn't get a generator out. So at 42 hours, still no generator out. Now, part of it was I was managing resources. A lot of the gas stations around didn't have power either. They couldn't pump gas. And so I was going, okay, well, let's, and I wanted to, um, I wanted to see how it would go. Finally, the sun's like going behind a cloud, so it was really bright. Um, so the first thing I did was nothing. The first night it went out at like 10 p.m. and I just did nothing. Mike and I are sitting there and we were still like working and talking. All of a sudden, power's out and got crazy. But we just do nothing. We leave the room, and I think one of the best tips I have, because I feel like in the last 2 or 3 months, it's been way worse. Like hurricanes and power outages and lions and tigers and bears, oh my. It just seems more prevalent. And so I think learning some of these things are going to help. So obviously, like, not to open the fridge and the freezer, right? The same thing kind of happens with your fish room. The best thing you can do is kind of close it up. If you've got a door you can close, if you've got a few blankets, make sure all the tops are closed. Spend like 5 minutes battening down the hatches in your fish tanks and fish room as much as you can. And if it's just your living room, like do what you can. And then don't mess with it for like at least 24 hours. And so that's my first wisdom there is like, yep, make sure the tops are closed. If you got one tank in your living room, maybe throw a blanket over it, but then you just don't touch it. The more times you're like, well, let me take a peek. You're letting out heat and you're changing things. If you walk in with a flashlight, the fish get active, right? And so then they're using up more oxygen. All of these things aren't good. So the first thing is at least in my store and at my home fish room, I can go 24 hours without power, without having to do anything. Now, I think that's quite a tale or quite a thing to realize there, because everyone's going to freak out. Everyone's going to go, yeah, but maybe I'm overstocked. It's like, look, we're talking 800 zebra danios and a 20-gallon overstocked at like the store, right? And so I'm not going to say it's impossible, but I've yet to see kind of fish be in distress with oxygen from a tank that was normally healthy, which we keep healthy tanks at the store and we keep healthy tanks at home, right? So that's my first tip is like, just do nothing. Then what I kind of did the next day, right, is kind of, okay, it's been 24 hours. It was a little bit less. I didn't want to do it at 10 o'clock at night. I used some of the daylight that I had, right? Then I actually hooked up a little battery-powered pump to Ladybird's tank, my 800-gallon tank. Not out of necessity, out of, it's sitting there, I should use that. And that's what I would say. I would say do yourself a little bit of favor and have at least one like USB air pump or something. Maybe it takes batteries. Maybe you can charge it off of chargers. We'll get into that. But have something around that will, one, help put your mind at ease, but two, could actually make a difference. And you don't need, so if you have 10 aquariums, you don't need 10 pumps. You could, but you need like one, because you can take one, let it sit there for an hour, and then move it. Let it sit there for an hour, and on a 10-hour cycle, everything will stay relatively oxygenated, right? Now, obviously, you have more, makes it a little easier. You don't have to be as diligent moving it around, but, I just put it on Ladybird's tank, and then I had a big, a big battery, like, I think they call them solar generators or solar battery powered generator. They're basically the giant batteries that you see people use when they go camping and that kind of stuff. I had one of those, and it'll handle my fish room for like 3 days. And so that was keeping my big air pump going. So actually all of my tanks, except for Ladybird, had oxygen going in them for the first 24 hours. Then actually, so it seems counterintuitive, right? But after the first 24 hours, like, wow, damage is really bad. We actually couldn't leave until later in the afternoon on Saturday because the roads were blocked with trees. So I was like, okay, we need to conserve energy, because it's not just one of those, I'll just drive and go refill, like, charge it up. That wasn't going to happen easily. So I actually unplugged the battery, and no air went to my tanks for like the next 12 hours, except for Ladybird, right? Because I wanted to conserve energy. So, kind of keep in mind that fish tanks don't need oxygen 24/7. They just need to not run out. And so, save that power if you can. Maybe unplug it. And because I was in there, hook up one air pump, unplug the other one, get back out, just let it kind of chill. Now, while I was in there, I was checking temperatures. So another thing to have on hand that's really helpful is like a cooking thermometer, a digital one. Now, I have it in my fish room and it is magnetized, so I just keep it on the fridge. What that let me do is it let me go check a few tanks. I checked Elmer's tank, I checked Ladybird's tank, I checked a pond, and I checked a 40 breeder. And so as I'm checking these, they were all still above 70 degrees, even, basically 24 hours later, which was great. The insulation, everything I'd done to that building had worked out well. Temperatures were falling, but not too fast. So I was able to have that digital thermometer, give it a quick check, and put my mind at ease a little more, knowing, okay, I don't have to break out propane and heat and go into crazy mode yet. So yeah, having a digital thermometer, real handy to have around, real nice. Especially if you get into a dire situation where you need to be like using a barbecue to heat up water and you're mixing it in buckets and trying to add it back to an aquarium. Because you might go, well, it's pretty warm, but let's say that water is, 90 degrees or 100 degrees, and your aquarium water is 60 degrees. You don't want to shock your fish. You obviously don't want to put boiling water in there, but even like 100 to 60 that's a lot, and it won't feel that hot to your touch. So I would say, having that digital thermometer really, really handy. And it's something you can just have in your fish room in your house anyway. But I keep it on that fridge, and because when the power goes out and stuff, I know exactly where it is. And that's something else I would say is have this kit or these items separate from your home. Well, separate from what you're going to use, right? If you need to have a battery backup in the fish room, then have one. Don't go, well, we'll use it to charge our phones and this and that and that, and pretty soon you have no power left for, your battery backup. So have that, have your thermometer, maybe have a couple of space blankets, the foil things you're going to lay over some tanks, whatever you're going to do. And then during this time, don't feed at all, right? A lot of people go, well, what if they don't eat? The reality is they can go weeks without eating. And so we don't want to overwhelm a system that doesn't get much oxygen. Temperatures are falling. They might not want to eat at all if it's cold enough, right? If it's 62, they're not even hungry. Now you got rotting food. So don't even feed. You don't want to lift up the tops, which I feel like the more and more I interact with everybody, I'm just like, get glass tops. Why are we turning into a hobby that doesn't have glass tops? In fact, in the side rant I'm about to do, in our Aquariumcoop Facebook group, which we revived that if you didn't see the headlines, 33,000 people, well, 34, 35 now. It's actually a really great group. But I saw someone in their for their freshwater tanks, they're getting mesh tops. And I asked them, I was like, why would you have a mesh top when you could just have glass? The only reason that I know of to do that is for if your aquariums are getting too hot. Saltwater problem mostly, could be axolotls, a few others. And they were just like, oh, well, they were just custom made. And then he told me they have a glass, you can put glass on top of them. And now I'm really going, you've got the thing you need, but you just have this extra part you don't need. So get glass tops. I realize I've got a rimless tank. I've got this, I've got that. There's ways to pull this off everywhere. The rimless tanks, you can get little clips that sit inside and so you don't see it. But the difference, and I think you'll see that in a video coming out, maybe it's this week. Oddly enough, I was showing temperatures and things before the power went out. I had no idea, like the day before. And so I was showing you guys how well acrylic holds heat versus an open top tank versus a pond versus all these things. And there's some universal truths, and that is the thicker the acrylic or the glass, the better it insulates. And having a top will save you energy and power. And so, especially people that are, well, how many heaters and how much wattage, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say in the side rant, it's like trying to buy like a fireplace, right? Well, how much of a fireplace do I need? And it's like, well, if you're laying there naked, you're going to need a lot to stay warm. Like if you've got an Aquariumcoop hoodie, the Aquariumcoop socks, the member sweatpants, like if you're kitted out, you need way less heater. And your aquarium's gonna be the exact same way. That's how I use a 100-watt heater to heat 125-gallon tanks, because we're trapping all the heat in instead of just letting it go, right? We know putting a hat on when it's cold makes a big difference. Same thing for your aquarium. So get some glass tops. They're really good in power outages too. They're, also by having the glass top, you can now throw a blanket over it. If you don't have the glass top, you throw a blanket over it, you're just going to wick out all the water onto the floor. That ain't going to work. So highly recommend glass tops, even with the, even with the light you'll lose, right? Because having glass will restrict a little bit of light, but it's well worth it for 99% of situations. So anyway, go back to powers out, right? And now we're on kind of day 2. Now I'm starting to go, okay, we're gonna have to, get out the generator and start heating. And so yeah, I think after about 2 days, with any amount of tanks, right? If you have just one, I think you could still go on for another few days. But when you start looking at, well, there's 50 or 70 aquariums, or even 12, you start getting into this, well, what am I going to do? How do I heat all of them? Because a generator's not going to heat all of them. I can heat like an oil heater, right? But, so a propane heater, where you're actually using propane, it heats, and you got to hook it up to power for the fan, that can heat quite well, but you get a lot of humidity. And so that was the other thing I wasn't able to deal with. Humidity was high in the room, and if that went on for way too long, that'd be a problem. But, there's moisture on the door and the skylights, and it was dripping, and but there's not a lot you can do in that situation. Now, on top of, you guys won't have this problem, but I did. On top of that, the store and the warehouse were losing power and getting it back. And so when I was managing resources, I was also managing for 3 facilities. And so that can be a lot more, I value, okay, we've got this much gas. And if it's, because it was a bad storm, right? And so I really want to make sure, like, okay, well, how much am I using at my personal place versus the store with all the fish and that kind of stuff. And so the only casualties I had, because it came on at 42 hours, which was great, lucky. The only casualty, I had one rosy barb pass away, which could have been, it was going to happen anyway, don't know. And then my freezer in the fish room did defrost. Now, I analyzed it, and I think everything is okay. But it did make me think, okay, I could prepare for this better. And that's what I'm trying to teach you guys, because I'm pretty good at it. We got generators, we got all these things, but frozen food still seems to be one of the chinks in the armor that I've got. Both that, we've got a whole walk-in freezer with all the brine shrimp and everything at the warehouse. We've got insane amounts of frozen food, several freezers worth at the retail store. And those, if those go bad, like the brine shrimp eggs, they can thaw. That's actually not a problem really. But like the frozen food, we can lose $20,000 in frozen food in 3 days if we're not careful. And so I kind of had, probably $300 or $400 worth of frozen fish food in my own freezer. And so what I was going to tell you guys is, going into storm season, and you'll know roughly when that is. Maybe for you it's the summer, maybe it's the winter for me, right? Going into that, I think there's a case to be made for making kind of a shift for maybe freeze-dried foods and things like that. Like, don't stay so stocked up on frozen. So that way you're managing, like, okay, I'm managing like $20 worth of frozen instead of $200 or $500 worth of frozen food. And the freeze-dried, I'm falling in love more and more with freeze-dried, just from ease of use and that kind of stuff. And that's a different aside, but yeah, the frozen part, I didn't want to have to break out the generator just to keep that freezer going, because my freezer in the fish room, one, it's warmer in the fish room, right? It was an interesting thing, actually. It was warmer in the fish room than it was in our house. In our house, we were using a propane fireplace, and so we did a good job. Water holds heat really well, and so the more water you have in a room, the more heat it actually holds for longer. That helps out, right? But with that extra warm, defrosted the freezer faster than the one in the house and the one in our garage. And so, and they were less full. So that was the other thing I was going to get to. The other thing we could be doing if you knew the storm was coming, which we didn't. I had no idea, which is crazy. Normally, you're like, oh, storms are coming, but this one, no idea. If you freeze a bunch of like water jugs or like milk containers, and if you fill most of that freezer, it'll help really keep it frozen longer as well. You might get an extra couple of days, right? And so I would focus on that as well if you're keeping a lot of frozen foods. But yeah, so I did learn stuff. So what were my key takeaways? My key takeaway is actually, even in the winter, because it was getting down to about 34 degrees outside, even in the winter, I can go 48 hours basically and have no problems. After that, I don't have the testing. I suspect day 3, I should start getting in there and trying to warm some stuff up and do some things. But I don't have that data yet. If I get to that point next time, I might wait till day 3 just to get the data points for everybody, right? And it will depend on, is it my home and fish room and the warehouse and the fish room, and the fish store? How many of those things are out of power? Because it gets hectic and you're just trying to manage it. This one I could manage this one, which is good to have other people managing the other ones. But I would love to get you guys that data. I got to test some of our products in the wild, which I like. It's one thing to just like, yeah, this battery air powered pump works really well. It's another thing to actually use it for its intended purpose. And some of the new models I even got to test. So that was great. What I will say is, someone was asking, like, when are we going to have our air pumps back in stock? I don't know. So part of the problem, that you guys have heard me talk about is COVID shutdowns and stuff in China. We don't have any control. And so there's been no movement for months. It's almost like 3 months now, I feel like. And so things that were on schedules, right? So just imagine you schedule anything in your life. Something you're really waiting on, a surgery, your new car, because you're a 1-car family, needed 2 cars, something like a big event that you've already like maybe paid a lot of money for. When they just keep postponing it every week is very crazy disruptive. And so the answer is, I don't know. You can put it on the website, you can put in your phone number, and you'll get a text the minute we get them in, but they're not on the water yet. So we're at minimum 4 weeks away, but probably 6 to 8, and that's if they open up tomorrow, right? And so I don't have a great timeline because I don't want to string you guys along, but trust me, we're doing everything we can, but legally nothing can move over there. So we just have to wait. But yes, I do love that air pump a lot, and I think it's going to work really well for a lot of you guys. You guys love it. We're actually making it even better with a Type-C plug and an extra feature. So the next version is even better. We just have to wait for it. I keep frost packs for coolers in my freezer to keep the temp during the power outage. That was also, my wife came up with that idea. She said, what if we grab the frozen foods and we put them in a cooler and then we put ice packs in there? And that was on my mind. I was like, because I've had that happen when I was young, very cold outside. If it's 34 degrees outside, you can just take that frozen and kind of put it outside. Now, you don't want to let it sit in the sun, but that was another game plan of like, okay, maybe the Aquariumcoop insulated bag, or maybe we do got to go all the way to the cooler. What we didn't want to do is we didn't want to open the freezers in the home to add to them, because once you open them once and you're letting out so much of that heat, or I mean that cold, right? So really, I think the trick to managing the power outage is just let nature do its thing. Stop checking on it. Stop doing this stuff, because that really will affect the longevity you're going to get out of it. So, Corey, would you ever move your production out of China? Sure. Give me plants that will do what we need to do and isn't 10x the cost. We have stuff made in other countries, and we definitely pay more for it, but most of the products, they don't even have the plant to do it. So some make sense and we do it, Others, no one's. It's not that they're not willing; they're not equipped to do it. So it's kind of like that. Well, why don't we do this thing? It's like because it's not an option at the moment. Make it an option, sure. You know, I always tell everybody like, I wish it was made in my backyard. It'd be way easier. It'd be great. Oh, and then someone asked, why don't I? Mostly it's the American public on why I don't move production out of China. Because let's say I have the air pump made in Taiwan, right? Which we could do. And then you're going, why is this air pump $72? Your old air pump was 26. And I'm like, oh, because we moved it out of China. Like, that's just the reality is the average consumer, whether it's a knowing consciousness or not, we're so used to paying a price that when we see a price that's too differing, we just say no. And so you do it all day long. Maybe if it's a candy bar or something else, even if it's locally made, you just when the price is too different, you just say no. And so until there's you know, a conscious why decision to pay more for that, um, yeah, it's just not going to happen. And then, because the problem is, if everyone had to do it, it makes sense, right? If all air pumps are now $72, people just pay it. But if our air pumps are $72 and all our competitors are $28, we just won't sell air pumps. That's what will happen. So it's kind of um, yeah. King Doc says Corey mono red burn or blue control. Oh, Magic the Gathering. I thought it was color temperature because I'm like this phone's running a little bit warm for the color temperature. Um, I've played both of those actually. Yeah, I mean in a serious tournament, I usually would play more control based, but we'll save that till later if we get into that. Let's see here. So yeah, power outage. Learned a lot last weekend. It was good to connect with Mike, and it kind of revitalized some passion, which was good. So that's a good thing for me is kind of getting back like yeah, there's other real people into the hobby because it's not that way when I go to an event. It's so overwhelming with so many people. It's not like you can just chat and talk about ideas over the course of days. You've got minutes. So. Um, but yeah, and then power outage. So now we have three trees that got to get taken down. Half of the one that's broken, which is I'm calling the Widowmaker because that thing looks sketchy. And then the two others. And I learned more about trees, which I love learning in general, especially about nature. But the trees as a pack were stronger. So if we take the one down, now all the wind hits two trees because the one that broke was in the middle. And so they're going to take more stress than they were before. And so they were also blocking wind for other trees. Well, these ones weren't, but we asked about some other trees that we're a little sketched out about now. And those ones were blocking wind for other trees. So, oh, okay, wind blocks. That was something to learn. By the way, my neighbor, most unfortunate person, last year they had a tree come down. So let me get the history if you're new to the channel. Last year we had like 12 trees taken down because it was scary and they just looked like they were going to topple over right onto the studio. And so we took them down. Good thing we did because then, like a month later, a tree on my neighbor's property, which was like, it could have come down and smashed the studio, smashed his garage and just annihilated it. Like they had to rebuild the whole thing. Um, so this year he was like, oh, I should take these trees down. He didn't yet, didn't get to it. So this year in this storm, a tree comes down in his front yard, one of the ones that should have come down, and landed on his two trucks. So he's like not a landscaper, excavating company. So he's got a lot of not a lot of trucks, but his vehicles are trucks. That's what I was trying to say. So they got two vehicles and they're two trucks. Well, this tree comes right down onto two trucks, and one really got it, and it was I kind of wish there was like video or I could have seen it happen because like all the windows shattered out, and it took a beating. The other one took a beating, but was like still usable. So, um, yeah, just unlucky. The trees over there just, hit his house a little bit and, just kind of ruined the gutter. Not so much anything else. How's my pond doing? The pond is sucking. Could not suck more. Why is that, Corey? Well, I think all the koi got eaten by bald eagles, and then the weather was so dry this summer, and even though it's been crazy raining like this month, there's no water running in our creek to refill the pond. So it is crazy bizarre that here we are midway through November, and my pond is still like 8 feet down in depth as far as like water wise goes. So crazy weird. Hadn't seen that since we've owned this place for 2 or 3 years now. And so doing some brain thinking like, hey, how much do I want to stock that? Is this going to be just a one of freak accident? Or is this going to be the norm of like, ooh, so we'll figure it out. But yeah, it's not going too hot out there. So. What type of insulation did Dean use on his mini ponds? I don't know. I mean, I know he wrapped him in the bamboo, but he used Reflectix. Um, it looks, well, so if you guys saw when I posted the green Aquariumcoop insulated bags for plants, it's that material, but just in silver. So you wrap your pond in that, it reflects the heat back in and reflects heat out. And then he wrapped it with bamboo, so it didn't look so bad. And yeah, so Reflectix, I guess I'll talk about that a little bit. Why do we use Reflectix for plants? One, it can do two things. When it's cold, it reflects heat inside, so it kind of keeps the heat in there and it keeps it reflecting back in. And then when it's hot, it helps reflect the heat out and not penetrate in. And so we get to use them both ways. And part of it is they're kind of so good at what they do. If we put the heat back in, way too hot, all the aquarium or all the plants melt down. So we put the heat back on the outside to help just keep the overall package, kind of keep the frost, not the frost, 'cause that's the wrong, but like keep the cold off of it as much, so that if the outside is warmer, because it's not gonna be 100%, right? Some heat gets through over time. Otherwise, you would never need a heat pack. But if you keep the outside air warmer, it happens at a much slower rate. And so that's why we do that way. Oh yeah, so we did lose 2 trees, but then also the tree that came down managed to just murder our 3 apple trees that my wife was very fond of. So a lot of cleanup out there. That's yeah. We spent Saturday. We got out there at 10 a.m. Started moving branches because there could be no UPS deliveries, even if the road got cleared, and we wanted to make sure that, well, you got no power in the house. What else are you gonna do, right? Sit there and do nothing, or I can start the branch cleanup. So we got the roadway cleared, at least in our property. I have crawdads in my aquarium. Are they gonna eat my fish? Depends on the type. Some do. Basically, they'll, if they're really hungry, they'll catch and eat stuff. But mostly they're gonna want to prey on, dead stuff and plants and slow-moving stuff. But if they get real hungry, can't put it past them. Should I talk about native species? I don't know if I can legally. I'm not sure. Like, I know for native species, you have to get permitting and stuff. And it's like weird here. Non-natives are easier to stock. If you want to put a native in, you have to get permits and you have to like get the trip approved from where you're buying them to where they're going. But if you just throw goldfish in there, they don't care. So I'm not really sure why, but yeah. The Aquarium Co-op shipping bags are like gold for our aquarium club. Folks try to buy, sell, and trade the green bags at every meeting. Oh man. Sarah, if you see like a lot number and a price or something, take a picture. I'd love to see that. I am glad, by the way, that stuff's getting reused because I feel terrible for the environment. Like, it's our job to get stuff there healthy, but to do it, you don't always use reusable resources. And so we've done as much as we can, but if everyone just throws those away, that's pretty bad for the environment. So I'm excited to see that there, some of these ideas I've had working for so long are like, hey, this is becoming a thing and the vision is working, which is great to see. We even created a Dave Chappelle meme. Y'all got any of them green bags? Oh man, that's good. I need to hang out on the forum to see more memes. Post that meme to the Facebook group, which I don't know if Sarah, she had a hurricane or something go on. Her power was out. I don't know if it's back on yet, but same happened to Extreme too. I was talking to Andy and he got hit by a hurricane. Not good at his house. It's been one of those weeks for a lot of people, I think. Any recommendation on a heater that can fit into the Zis brine shrimp hatchery lid? I do not get good results, and I think it's because of the low temperature. So, while the brine shrimp hatchery can do it, it's not my favorite style. Why would you say that, Corey? Because, let's say this dB meter, which I use to test how loud air pumps are, and I am. See, I'm 74 dB right now. If this is your heater, and you put this inside your brine shrimp hatchery, eventually you got to take this bad boy out and you got to try and clean it because you don't want to put eggs and stuff back in when you do the next hatch. So what is the answer, Corey? What would you be doing? Here's what I would be doing. So obviously the room you're doing it in is not warm enough natively, right? Otherwise you'd be getting a good hatch. So I'm going to blow your mind. And this is why I set this thingy up. I'm going to put a bunch of products on here. So I'm going to go, oh yeah, this is what I would do. The handle, right? So you got this thing that looks like a pitcher. The handle, it's got a lot of space and everything. It was designed intentionally this way. So that if this is your aquarium, you can hang it on the outside. But you can go, 4D chess move. You hang it on the inside, right? So let's say you've got your 55-gallon aquarium or your 29 or 20, whatever it is, doesn't matter. And you're breeding some fish and you've got a heater in there. Hey, they're 80 degrees. I'm trying to do some whatever, pick a fish, right? If you now put the hatcher in there, it'll be 80 degrees. It keeps temperature absolutely perfect, right? Now, when you go to harvest it, you lift it up, you flip it around, you put it down. It's going to be dripping, right? Grab your trusty Aquariumcoop towel, give it a little rub down. Now it's not dripping. Let it settle, right? Drain it off. So it's actually got a feature built in to do that. Now, specifically your question, what heater would I do if I was really going to do this? Which I wouldn't, but if I was going to do this, I would go find a very small titanium heater. You can get them like this big. That will connect to like an Inkbird controller. And I would do it that way. So that the reason why I want titanium is it's going to be very easy just to rinse off under the faucet, right? So that's why I would do that one. Now, I don't know exactly which one. I'd have to go look, but I'm sure if I hop on Amazon within 20 minutes, I'm going, hey, look at that thing. It's 50 or 100 watts, doesn't really matter. And it's basically like, so in my mind, I'd be going, I need to find a cheap China titanium heater that has no thermostat, doesn't matter. I just need a plug and that thing, because I'm going to plug it into the Inkbird thing that I'm willing to trust. And that's what I would do. So that's what I'd recommend. How do you shut the lid with the brine shrimp catcher in it? Oh, I see. You wouldn't. You'd have to, you put it in and it would just sit like this. There's going to be a video I'm going to do where I'm going to teach people how to cut glass and do some modifications to their tops for quick and easy feeding, or something like having the feature, or the brine shrimp hatcher there, or having You know, I want to mount a specific Aquariumcoop auto feeder like this, or I want to do, you know, there's a bunch of little reasons why you might want to modify your glass top a little bit, just to, you know, it mostly only matters when you have like 50 tanks. You're lifting 50 lids to feed, or you got 50 auto feeders and that kind of stuff. Not so much if you have like 3 tanks. It's, yeah, you just do it. Yellow glowfish has a clear nub sticking out of its eye. So sometimes that can be a cataract, or it can be like you're getting a little bit of Popeye going, and so it can be a little bacterial infection. Like I'm gonna say the lens, but it's not that, but like the most outside part, and it almost can like come to a point. So I would check water quality and make sure no one's picking on it, and then either put it in a quarantine tank and observe, or maybe use a little like erythromycin, maricin type of thing just to. But without being able to see it, it's very hard to go, what is going on? Or make your own glass top? Yeah, you definitely could make your own glass tops. Although I feel like, you know, over the last 5 years, that's kind of gotten less practical. Like I know that we still sell glass tops at our store for like nothing. And you know, you might be like, it was $40. Like, yeah, we paid $40 for it. We made no money. But when you go to a glass shop and try to get some stuff versus like the fish store, especially like on 10-gallon tanks, you're just better off going, oh, it's $13. Maybe it's $15 at our store. I don't know. Let me look. I'm curious to see if they've really moved price in the last 5 years. I just know in the last 20 years of my career, glass tops have always been like, we're just giving these things away essentially. Yeah, standard glass top. Yeah, $20 for a 20-inch top. Let me see, are we making any money? Oh, we make like $5. It's not bad. But by the time you get into a glass shop, if you're, unless you're just buying raw glass, which maybe they'll do, but by the time, you know, you're paying like 50 cents for each side to be sanded, that kind of stuff, it adds up to like, isn't this just the price I was gonna pay? And then really you're gonna get, usually you get thinner glass. Like the glass, a lot of glass shops will have like really thin glass or quarter-inch, but not like the 3/8 that's normally there, and so it gets weird of, you know, you're trying to save money, trying to do a thing, and pretty soon you're either spending more or getting a lower quality product where you could have went to the fish store. I'm a scrounger. I can get free windows to recycle into glass tops. Just make sure they aren't tempered. Yeah, there's always ways to do the hobby cheaper for like most parts of it. Now, I would just say that it really depends where you are. Like I could probably hop on Craigslist and find a window today. It also will depend on time is money, right? If you could just go to work, you could probably make the money to buy one instead. And then there's, you know, risk, like how handy are you with DIY projects and all of that. And some of it's going to be very rewarding. Like it 100% makes sense if my Saturday is making 12 glass tops. It's a project, it's something for me to do, and I'm the person that likes to be in my garage doing a thing. That's worth more than anything. Like, oh, I got a day of entertainment out of it and I save money? Perfect. If it's one of those like I got to work Monday through Friday, then I got the kids on the weekend, and there's baseball practice, and then there's ballerina class, and this and that and this, then it is like, okay, that is not gonna be enjoyable. Well, it might be enjoyable, but you won't have the time, and maybe you should just buy a glass top instead of like you get the window, it sits there for 9 months, you keep going, oh, I gotta do that one of these Saturdays. Pretty soon, you've been, you know, it's 42 years later, and you still don't have a glass top. All right. But yeah, I do plan on, you know, if you're, I'm gonna plan on doing a video. Maybe I'll do it with Dean, because I'm sure he's got a trick I don't even know about yet. But I'm gonna modify some tops. I've made my own before. I kind of want to show you guys how you can modify ones that you already have to do just a, you know, a couple of extra doodads. Half you're gonna be like, yeah, duh, and the other half you're gonna be like, hey, I'm gonna put that back here, and one day I'm gonna use that. So that's all I'm trying to do. Mm, in a garden center pond department, I bought a pallet of fish tanks at a trade show. They were sold for just a few dollars to cover cost. Oh, wait, over cost. Yeah, after shows are done, tanks are incredibly cheap because, you know, no one wants to ship them. So, yeah. This is where club buys come in handy. Greenhouse panels are still 40 bucks. A club can purchase and pick up and cut greenhouse panels for way cheaper. Yeah, there's that too. Hmm. I think there are pros and cons to greenhouse panel and glass. Like my entire store is all greenhouse panel. And if I was going to make all my own, I would do it out of greenhouse panels and the plastic. It's easier to work with. But if money was no object, I prefer the glass ones. They're kind of easier to maintain. Well, there's pros. Like a store, we move the tops 20 times a day catching fish. Glass ones break more often. At home, I kind of just like having the glass one because I'm not moving it 20 times a day, but I like that they fit nicely and you can't have water or anything get in between. We've had ants get in there before. Like there's some stuff that can happen with those things. Still not putting me off from actually doing it, but just know that there are things that can have an impact. I can't go back to liquid kits after using your test strips. Are there any other brands that are decent that I can look into finding? I do like the Tetra brand ones. Those were my favorite for many, many, many years. The 5-in-1 Tetra ones. Outside of that, most other ones I've tested are not very accurate and good. That's why we made our own. We actually made our own because Tetra sent us a cease and desist letter saying we can't sell Tetra products online, only in our retail store. Then like a year or two later, I was like, all right, I got to make my own because this ain't working. And all these other ones that I've tested are not great. I'm sure there are some other brands out there that are good. I just haven't tested them. I mean, I've tested most of the ones in America because I was just looking to pivot. It's always easier to go, oh, we can't do this thing, and we just buy this one and solve. We'll do that. It's way harder to go, oh, now I got to do all of my own thing. So, what would be the best way to advertise a local club event? Many sites and online groups don't allow advertising. Well, it depends if you're on like the board of directors or not. The best way, in my opinion, would be Facebook advertising. So you actually like have the club Facebook and you have a Facebook pixel installed on the club website. It collects all that data, anyone that's ever been there, and then when you have an event coming up, you use that audience and you put money behind it. Maybe you put $50 per event behind it, and you're going to advertise to those people. And then you can target other people that are closest. So like, oh, I can see here that, they like aquariums and they live within 10 miles of the event. I can target them also. But honestly, like the reason we don't allow you to spam our Facebook group is because for most people, they don't care. Like, let's say you come into our group and we allowed it. 34,000 people. And of that, maybe 100 could even care about it. So that becomes some of the problem. One way you could do it, our club used to do it for a long time, was post on Craigslist, in the free section and in the like for sale section and that kind of stuff. You can get some people that way. But mostly I would say Facebook. It really is the easiest way to connect people, and advertising is going into the business world, but just know this. Building out your own channels to advertise is always going to win. Everyone wants to use someone else's channel to advertise, but it's never as effective, and you got to play by the rules, and it's, it'll be like, but it's going to take time and energy to do it. Like, yep, but it will save you time and energy down the road. Do test strips have an expiration date? Usually about 2 years from the manufacturing date. Currently battling ick using Imagitarium's parasite remedy till ICX comes in. So far, working pretty well. Good. Yeah, I don't know I haven't seen the Imagitariums. That's like the Petco brand. I haven't seen their ick med, so not even sure what he uses. But good to hear it's working. I'm always hopeful that more and more meds will just work because our lives get easier instead of, I've tried these 6 products and they don't work. and then we have to try and teach them. Um, if most events just worked, aquatics would be easier and better for everybody. I've got a specimen of German blue ram and just not sure if I need to be worried. My German blue ram looks like it has a pimple on its chin. What is this? Probably some kind of infection or parasite going on. You can wait till it ruptures and use an antibiotic, or you could, make sure water parameters are on point, make sure, temperature is probably 82 to 84. You could put it in quarantine. You could, treat it with salt and stuff like that in another quarantine tank. But yeah, I would say that's what you do. Are the co-op strips going away? Nope. No, they're not. We got them in stock. You guys should be buying them. We've had great engagement from flyers in vet and groomers offices. Yeah. Here, the problem I find is a lot of times people will ask a question like, hey, how do I do a thing? And then in my mind, I already tailor it knowing, well, they're not going to do the thing that works, and because that takes work. But yes, so hand-to-hand combat, as you would call it in marketing, of you have a club, you really want people to show up. Are you going to your local PetSmarts and Petcos 3 times a week and meeting every single employee in the aquatics department, telling them what your club's about, what the benefit is, keeping people in the hobby, they'll make more money, inviting them? Are you doing that with the local vets? Are you doing that with, did you ask your hospitals and that kind of stuff? Like, hey, can I put up a little flyer that says, hey, we have an aquarium club? Can you put up a flyer in the break room at your public aquarium? Like there's a, old school marketing, and that's kind of what we call it now, where you would print flyers and pin them up on every board in the back of every grocery store and all of that. It does work. It's just very labor intensive, right? And so you're like, well, I spent every Saturday for the last 4 months and we gained 11 people. But those people are more likely to be more engaged instead of like, I clicked a few buttons on a Saturday, we marketed to 400,000 people, but we got 6 people, right? So it just takes almost like a club is like building a business. I don't want to even start this rant, but I'll keep it short. The way to win business is over the long term. There's lots of times people try to buy their way through and you watch them fail. Like we're watching Birchbox go bankrupt. We're watching, what's the other one that was, Allbirds shoes, like venture capital money in so many businesses right now. It's been like a bubble it's bursting right now. And like Allbirds, like during the pandemic, you couldn't go more than 2 or 3 posts without Allbirds spamming the crap out of you in social media because they were spending insane amounts of other people's money on ads. Last 90 days, they sold $75 million worth of Allbirds shoes. And you go, wow, that sounds amazing. $75 million in 3 months? And then you look at their profit and loss statement. Oh, but they lost $25 million? So it took them $100 million to sell $75 million worth of shoes. Oh, and they've done that 3 quarters in a row. Oh, yeah, there's so many people that, or not people, but companies have raised up hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, and then they will spend $100 million to make 60 million or 50 million. And we watched like Chewy.com do that, right? And so the goal is acquire market share at all costs. And then once you have it, you'll make money. And now we're getting to the end of those rainbows of like, uh-oh, but the making money part's not happening for most of these companies. So, yeah, longevity is what wins, like a slow and steady build and building sustainable practices in a company. People have kind of forgot. Like if your marketing department's used to having $100 million budget for the quarter, and then you only sell 75 million and you lost 25 million. What happens when you go, okay, you get $100,000 to market? And they're like, what? We're used to spending 100 million. So they've spent years training their employees how to spend 100 million, and they have no idea how to spend 100,000. So they don't know, like, oh, maybe you should get back into doing X, Y, and Z instead of just running social media campaigns. My Coriodoras hatched 3 days ago. Then yesterday they stopped moving and responding to anything. What did I do wrong? So they hatched 3 days ago. Oh, well, yeah, they just hatched. So in the first 2 to 3 days, they should be absorbing the yolk sacs. Were they already past that stage? Because it doesn't take very long to starve them to death. Usually after about 24 hours, you want to start like introducing brine or microworms or something, because some will be ready to eat a little faster than others. Can I put an elephant nose in a 55 with coolie loaches? You could for probably 3 to 5 years, and then as that thing gets bigger and bigger and bigger, it might turn those into spaghetti, but I don't have that long-term like real life experience to know if that's just my brain going, oh, could happen, versus it would or wouldn't happen. Is there a secret to catching coolie loaches? They're driving me insane. Someone needs to invent a coolie trap. We already sell one. So I know this from working in my own store and everything for a long time. The Aquariumcoop Epistogramma cave, if you just plop that in there, coolie loach is going like, ooh, look at this sweet spot. It's dark in here. And so you could even load it up with like, oh, I'm going to put a piece of food in there. But if you just let it chill, then you pick it up. It's like you put your net in, right? You pick it up, put it in the net, raise it up, then lift this thing out, and you got a bunch of coolie loaches. That's how we catch them all day long at the store. The other thing that's not going to matter for you, but maybe you're a store owner and doesn't like that idea, use very, very, very fine sand and a coarse net. You just chunk, pick up a bunch of sand, sift it. You got a bunch of coolie loaches, no sand. But the Epistogramma cave, it was a happy accident of finding out that, hey, that thing is a coolie loach catcher, basically. Now, obviously, it's going to be different. You've got a 200-gallon tank that's fully planted. Maybe there's some better spots in that coolie loach cave, and you might have to seed it with some food to get them in there. Curious on my thoughts on no filter tanks? I think they're cool, and people should strive for that, but realize you build an ecosystem, and I still believe they benefit from an air stone. And for me, personally, when it comes time, if I just like, okay, well, it needs air, my mind goes, but couldn't I could just put like a nano sponge filter in even, right? Like anything. Like that's, there is that whole, like, I want to prove a point and have no filter. And then there's the, well, I can buy an air stone for $3, or I could buy a nano sponge filter for like $5. And I would rather have the tiny bit of mechanical filtration and biological, because I can hide that behind a piece of wood or a rock. So, but in general, and so maybe it's not like the no filter aquarium. I like ultra low tech approaches. Now, just because or maybe it's not ultra low tech, ultra simplicity, right? I like live plants, an easy to use light, foods that are just good and easy, and like maybe some fertilizer, and then anything that allows me to maximize the enjoyment of my fish and plants while minimizing, this thing was $300. It's supposed to work better than this. Like, I've been through all of those things, and so I want just like, it just is. And I think people that are in the hobby for a long time, their aquariums just become, they just are. Of like, oh yeah, the filter's probably like 20 years old. I don't know. Like, it just does what it does. Yeah, if look a little yellow, yeah, let's get a little more root tabs in there. Oh yeah, water changes? Yeah, like once a month, maybe-ish. I don't know. Depends if I'm busy or not. Like, you get into these just, it's almost like a flow state for your aquarium. Like, it just is. Instead of, this thing's supposed to be doing a thing, this is supposed to be doing that, this is supposed to be doing that. Yeah. Can I put chia seeds in a fish tank? No idea. Don't know. I would guess. I don't know how you're gonna keep them where they're gonna go. My guess is no, but I haven't done it. Give it a try, report back. If I was gonna try, I would use something like this or a hairnet or some kind of fine mesh, and I would try to like put it on something and then hold it there until it grows in, so some grabs on. Learn from my mistake. Time remember chat wisely or Corey will miss it. I'm the king of that. I'll get to it. I'm turning out, all right, yeah. I'm turning out Hillstream loaches like it's going out of business. I wish I could show you the screen. YouTube is a pop-up just happened in the live stream on my end that says now would be a good time to insert ads. Creators earn more money inserting ads the more viewers are watching. Give it a try. How about hell no? I mean, I do put ads in after the fact, but if you're here live, I feel like you get the uninterrupted experience. Now, I say that, wait 2 or 3 years until YouTube's like, if you don't put ads, you can't, well, no one will see you. And then I'll be forced to. But until that happens, hey. Anyway, I'm turning out Hillstream loaches like it's going out of business. 30 plus, 3 local stores interested. Should I sell all 3 or pick one? And what would I do? My goal would be to sell to one, because in theory, right? This is all in theory. If I pick the best store and they've got decent traffic, I could bring them groups of like 50 every X amount. Or the local area can still sell 50, but now I got to make 3 different trips. This store wants them on Mondays, this one wants them on Fridays, and this one wants them on Saturdays. That's way more work. And what you usually find is then you start getting some price wars of like, oh, this person will sell them for $14.99, $12.99, $17.99, and you got to manage a lot more. So my preference would be one store, work out a good thing, hopefully you're getting cash, and you're like, look, you let me know how many you need, I'll bring them in, we'll roughly get a routine going of like, yep, every 2 weeks I bring in 12 at the size you like, and they're moving. That's what I'd be striving for. All right. Corey, I'm on a budget. Been there, my friend. I'm wondering, should I spend an extra $38 for an aqua clear instead of a sponge filter, or should I use that money for more plants? I don't mind sponge filters, but the hang on back looks better. Buy the hang on back. The reason I say that is if it's like one show tank, a hang on back does look better. And if you haven't had it yet, you'll enjoy it. That being said, what would Corey do? I would just use more sponge filters because I don't want the hassle, right? I don't want the hassle of making sure that it started back up after a power outage. I don't want the hassle of having multiple different filter types across my tanks and that kind of stuff. And then I do know that in my mind, at least the way I run my tanks, a hang on back versus the sponge, kind of no difference for me. That being said, I do like the extra flow. Like I almost would use a auto clear as like a cleanup thing and not a full-time thing. I don't know if that makes any sense, but maybe I'll do a video on that where you just like hang it on the front for a couple of days. It changes the flow pattern and sucks up a bunch of stuff, but then you take that and you go clean it at the sink, and you're not using it as like a permanent filter. And you can do that through multiple tanks and kind of get some cleanup going, clean up algae and just other stuff. And so maybe I'll do something on that for everybody. Co-op strips versus API tests for nitrates. For me, I use the strips because they're accurate to lab grade kits and they don't take a lot of work. Where API test kit, well, okay, hold on. API test, I'm assuming you mean the liquid kit. If you're meaning the strips, in my opinion, their strips are terrible. Now, their liquid kit is good, but in my opinion, the strips are bad. But if you're correct to the liquid kit, I just don't have enough time to do that, like at the store, in my tanks. Like, I might want to test 30 tanks in a day. That at 5 minutes each 150 minutes. I'm not going to spend over 2 hours just testing nitrates in tanks. So I want to be so I can go dip, 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 line them all up, going, hey, these 6, they're great. Moving on, right? A minute later. The other thing I find weird is that people really want to dial in. Like, I need to know, do I have 11.2 nitrates or is it 13.6? Which is always like weird because I think of it like money because you have a bank account of like, how much waste can I store, right? And so, like, I don't focus my bank account like, do I have $11.20 or $13.60? I basically go like, oh, do I have like $100? Great, I can have lunch. Oh, I don't have $100? Whew, I should probably make lunch. Like I work in much broader numbers with nitrates and stuff just because and the reason I say it that way is because I've done this a bunch in the store is like if you have 0 nitrates, you're like, yeah, just feed, you're not really worried about it at all. Like, oh, you got 100 nitrates? Like, well, yeah, maybe you start watching your money a little bit. Start making some moves. Like maybe you put in a live plant, maybe you change a little bit more water, maybe you switch to a little bit cleaner fish food. You make these steps, and then pretty soon you're like, hey, look at that. I'm mostly sitting at 20 or 30 nitrates, no problem anymore. And but yeah, a lot of people, especially new people to the hobby, they really like. I tested it 6 times, and I got 6 different results. It's somewhere between 10 and 15 parts per million. It's like it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Not for the aquarium level keeping we do. Are you supposed to remove a carbon insert when you treat for ick? Yeah, if you have carbon in your systems and you put any kind of med in it, if the carbon's still active, it's going to try to pull that medicine out. And so the best thing you can do is remove that so you're not fighting against yourself. That's actually a great analogy that could use some development. Yeah, I used to do it every day at the store of, the reason why I use a bank account and money is because if you're really trying to explain how an aquarium works, KH is the amount of money in your bank account, right? So if you have 120 KH, that means you got $120 in the bank account. And then as you're feeding, you're spending that money, right? Oh, I'm eating lunch. And so as you're doing that, you have things that happen, right? So I ate lunch, and eventually I'm going to have to poop it out. That poop happens, so we start with money. I bought a thing, I ate it, I'm pooping it out. Now the result is a garbage can, right? Or waste, toilet, whatever it is. And so we're going to be building up waste, right? Whether it's in a garbage can or a toilet, you can use either analogy, doesn't matter. So we buy money from our bank account, we've got buffer, right? That's at $120. Great, we got good buffer right now to go buy lunch. We eat it, sometime later it comes out of us, and either we got to throw it in the garbage can, collect it in the garbage can or the toilet, and then at some point we have to take out the garbage or flush the toilet. So we're doing our water changes, right? Some way to bring it out. Now you can obviously go down the rabbit hole and teach them about plants. And then the other thing you have to talk about is what happens if we're not flushing the toilet or taking out the garbage. We're spending the money all the time. We're eating. It's building up. Nitrates are going up. What happens? What happens? We start going into debt. And when you go into debt, that's where the pH starts crashing down. And if it gets too low, you basically go bankrupt and everything dies, right? And so most people that you interact with go, oh, money, that's that thing I go to work for and is in my bank account and that I already am managing on a daily basis. If I look at an aquarium like managing money, because a lot of people just don't get the science. Like, I don't understand what pH is and KH and hardness and then degrees of hardness, nitrates, and ammonia. Head spinning. But if you can break it down into like, hey, your KH, the amount of buffer in the water, is just the money in the bank account. You're spending some of that every day as you're feeding. You buy the food, something eats it, they go to the bathroom, some kind of collection method. Your hang on back filter, it's either a toilet or garbage can. Use that analogy. You have to export it at some point, right? And if you don't, the result is you run out of money and you go bankrupt. That's pH crashing and your fish are dying. And so a lot of people can wrap their head around that more easy than learning 7 different terms they'd never heard of before that day. Are you guys saying you don't poop in garbage cans? Is that what I'm hearing? Am I the only one? To be fair, I've gone camping with Bob and he's pooped in a bucket. That's just a miniature garbage can. That's all I'm saying. I will say that I've never pooped in the bucket. So, just saying, perfect track record. Any luck with my frogs? You better believe it. So in classic Corey style, I've been feeding these frogs, and they've been a pain in my butt for a few months because they haven't bred. After the power outage and everything, I'm like, I've been thinking about this for a long time. I really want to lower my dependence on fish that have to eat specialized. The frogs that would only eat frozen foods. And so I sent them to the store. I'm like, you know what? Let's just sell them at the store. Let's have someone else take care of them. I've got too much stuff. And my brain just like freaks out when the power goes out on 3 buildings and there's like millions of dollars at stake. And so I'm like, all right, this stress level's gotta tone it down, gotta woosah. And so I sent him to the store, and I kid you not, last night, Dean was like, yeah, so I went by the store, your frogs are breeding. And I was like, are you kidding me? 2 days after I let them go? That happens so often, and it's twofold, right? One is I keep stuff, and my attention span, it just wanes right before they're about to do something. And the other thing is putting them in the different environment is usually a fairly good trigger. So the water at the store is different and they had to move and all of that. And so, yeah. So yeah, they're doing well. They're for sale at the store. Apparently starting to breed. I haven't seen it there myself, but yeah. They're expensive frogs though, so don't go rushing and going, I'm gonna buy them. They're like $100 a piece. So they're peepa toads ain't free toads. The analogy of it doesn't matter if I have 1150 or 13 in the bank. If I don't have 100, I can't afford to go to lunch. It's a good analogy for new fish keepers and veteran fish keepers. Yeah, I mean that's everything in the hobby. I don't know, maybe it was money. I don't know how we got to the point of hyper focusing on do I have 28 ppm of CO2 in my tank or 30? I don't know how we got to that when we just needed to be in the realm. Do I have CO2 still in the water? Because that's what the plant cares. The plant literally doesn't care if you have 100 parts per million or 5. It only cares if you have 0. And so it's it's weird that over time the hobby is just kind of one-upped itself. And I don't think it's any specific person or anything. Maybe we just, I don't know why we've got into this tractor beam of yeah, but like that. All right. Oh, my wife's talking about the frogs. I thought she I knew that would happen. I freaking knew it. And I was trying to decide is she's talking about pooping in a garbage can or pooping in the woods. What is she talking about right now? Comes from reefing the particular numbers. That could be, Sunny. I think it also can come from aquaponics and stuff. I usually find that the less that people know about the hobby in general, the more they want it to be perfect. Because they come in with this notion of, but if you just tell me the number and I keep the numbers perfect, then it will work. And anyone that works with nature knows that's not how it works, right? Just because you're oh, I looked it up on the internet and I live in a zone 8. I'm going to go buy a plant that thrives in zone 8. You still have a 92% chance that you're going to leave it on your porch until it dies, and then you'll buy another one and leave it on your porch till it dies. And then you might get another one and go, okay, this time when I go home, I'm planting it today. Because the last 2 times I left it on my porch and it died. Because I'm a plant buyer, not really a gardener and putting it in the ground type of person. Like there's so much to actually gardening or just nature in general of, yes, there's some arbitrary numbers that some genius made a system, and we're all trying to follow that because it's better than knowing nothing, but matching that system 100% still doesn't really mean anything. I hope a bunch of people just felt attacked when they're like, "Oh gosh, I do have some plants that died on my porch because I meant to get to them this summer and I didn't." I don't buy plants anymore because I'm the king of that. I'm the king of buying the idea and not doing the work. Like this will be awesome, and then I've just learned like I'm way too lazy to do a lot of this. What would you say is the most accurate way to check water temperatures? I use a temperature gun, but I'm not sure it's too accurate. I use it for water changes and worry I'm not matching the temp closely enough. I feel like this is definitely that precise number. You know how close I want to be? I don't know because I don't even measure temperature. I go, does that feel like it's freezing? Nope. Does that feel like it's too hot? Nope. Good enough. But what I would say, if you really want to, if you want a device, go, well, let me check it out. Just get yourself a food grade thermometer like you'd stick into like a chicken or something. They're like $30 for pretty accurate ones. You can calibrate them by putting them in ice water, easy to use, digital, all those things. Just use one of those. Best plans to reduce nitrates or high nitrates from tap water, all of them. There's specifically lists of what are the best possible plants. I believe number 1 is like the Douglas fir tree. Number 2 is corn stalks. Number 3 was hornwort. Number 4 was like water hyacinth. Honestly, though, just some decent live plant. It doesn't really matter. It's not. Get something you like to look at. Have a lot of them. Get them growing, and then so it's like a catch-22, I think. So let's say you got nitrates in your tap water, which I have a little bit. And you're going, okay, I gotta scrub these things out. What's the fastest one to do that? You go get that plant, and it goes, I ate it. And you do a water change once a week. Now it's just starving 6 days out of the week. Reality, what you want is, my wife's yelling at my dogs right now. My dogs are begging for more food. Anyway, what you really want is, okay, I change water once a week or once a month or once, whatever your cadence is. What is a plant that would take that long to eat that? Then you get the perfect balance of, oh, my plants are growing rad. I don't have to fertilize as much. That's what you actually want. So you don't want the fastest. You want whatever is going to make sense in your system. And also know that most people change a portion of water. So even if you add 100 nitrates parts per million in your water out of the tap, right? It's a lot. Ooh. Let's say you're only changing 30% once a month, right? So at the end of the month, let's say you had 0 nitrates because your plants ate it all up. Tastes good. You change 30% of your water, right? Now you test your tank water. Nitrates are 30 parts per million. Math, right? Now, if you wait a month, your plants were probably starving by week 2. So you need to be dosing fertilizer anyway. Now, if you have 100 parts per million and you're doing discus and you're changing water every day, that's a different problem. But most of us probably have like, well, I have 20 parts per million and I'm changing 30% every week. And really, it's like, that's kind of just a bonus. Not even a thing. I wouldn't even be actively trying to discourage that. Translation: avoid Pogostemus latus octopus. Grows 3 inches an hour, I swear. It is a fast grower. I do enjoy that plant, but I would love to do a study. Maybe someday we'll have enough money where it's like, let's just do crazy studies Corey thinks up. I bet you if we could poll people based on years in the hobby, it would skew crazy hard to not keeping stem plants the longer you in. You're like at the beginning, you're like, I need those plants to be 100 times as big in the next 10 minutes so I can fill out my 100 aquariums. And then as you've been in the hobby for like 20 years, you're like, is there any way to, like, can I prevent growth? How can we prevent it from growing? Like, I just want it to be good and there, and I want to turn that down. Instead of turning it up to 11, I want like -5. I don't have nitrates, but a barrel of water full of hornwort with a light on it and a heater would probably work great. Preconditioned, easy, so you could sell gobs and gobs of hornwort. Only if you don't run out. Like, anyone that's really kept hornwort knows it's amazing until it's not. Happy, 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 dead mess. And it can do that in the span of like between lunch and dinner. You're like, that thing looked great. And then went out to dinner and I came back and my hornwort was dead. Like, what's up? Good morning, Corey from Australia. I've set up my first plan. Wait, set up my first plan to tank after always having hardscapes for cichlids. Oh, first plan to tank. There we go. What's my best tip? My best tip is to learn about whether plants, the ones that you're keeping, want their nutrients from the water or they want them from the roots. So things like swords and crypts, and I'm trying to think of other stuff that like pogostem and helperi and other stuff that really, there's a lot of stuff that wants stuff from the roots, and then the other ones want them from the water. Now both will take both, right? And so the way I try to explain to people is plants kind of have some preferences. Ooh, I'd like 75% of this and 25% of that. So even a stem plant that wants, like someone just said, Scarlet Temple, that wants nutrients out of the water can still benefit from stuff in the substrate. And vice versa on an Amazon sword. Really wants it from the substrate, but can utilize some out of the water. Algae can do anything. Dang, started maintenance and forgot about the show. Ah, Graham. Just gotta build that routine in, buddy. I know I took a week off. Sorry for that. I will say, do yourselves a favor. If you really want to be in the know of what I'm doing, you can follow Aquariumcoop on Facebook. I realize, Facebook's the devil. I get it. I know. But YouTube doesn't have a good way to actually notify you guys of stuff. So, and the newsletter, I'm just not plugged in. Like, I needed to be on my phone and be like, oh my God, a thing's happening. Here's a picture. Check it out. That's what I do, right? And so I've been hanging out in the Facebook group and on Facebook a lot more. Mostly because I'm just learning better how to utilize it and curate content, and I still can't protect you from your grandma who has a different opinion than you do, but it is quite easy for me to share cool things with you guys. So you are missing out on some stuff, but it makes it a video just a little bit delayed. I can't do Facebook even for you, Corey. Hey, no problem. I get it. I'm just letting you know. Let's see. Hey, Corey, talk to you in the Facebook group. Unfortunately, I won't be able to afford membership on the YouTube channel for the next couple months. Hey, no worries, Joe. Seriously, like, while I do appreciate memberships, because I'm not going to say I don't, I also don't think of less of anybody who doesn't. Honestly, like, I want everybody to know I grew up on welfare. I grew up very poor, and 10 years ago, eating top ramen to make ends meet. There was no $5. Like, how many top ramen's $5 buys? So I completely get it. And so I do not look down on people that, you don't have to. If anything, I do like to know why. Because I do want to know, like, oh, Corey, your membership benefits suck. I do want to know that. But, if it's like, just things are tight right now, like, I totally get it. And, I do want to find more ways to give more away. Let's see if I can do that right now. Because I like the crowdsourcing of like income coming in lets us do things. But Alexander Engelhart, good job, buddy. I was gonna do the same thing. Let me cue that up. We'll just make it rain, right? Mine only wants to let me. Oh, I can't. Mine does a stupid thing where it won't let me do it from behind the scenes. Hold on, I gotta load up like a real thing. The back, it's so dumb. I gotta yell at YouTube. On the back end, it can tell me like you should advertise, but it won't let me buy. It won't let me buy gifted memberships. There we go. Let's do it. You get a membership, and you get a membership, and you get a membership, and you get a membership. We're just gonna spam it. Boom. So hopefully Joe got one in there. That's my hope. My hope is that even Joe got one. I do hope you guys hang out with us on Facebook and YouTube and all of that. And, honestly, we've got great members. You got Candy who works for us. She donated some earlier, donated some now. Alexander Engelhart making it rain for people. And, I want to be as inclusive as possible while still being a businessman. Like, Aquariumcoop LLC still pays me to you should probably try and make some money and not go out of business. So I have to balance it. It's a delicate balance. So that is a lot of spam going down. It's kind of awesome actually. It's actually still spamming, so I can't find much to talk about yet. Can you speak on keeping Panda Garras in a partially lidded tank? Thanks for being cool in a DIY way. Reminds me of the punk scene. Hey, I used to have a pink mohawk and a bunch of piercings. My nose pierced, my lip pierced, eyebrow. Um, they just like to be a little bit cooler, but in terms of partially lidded, I mean, I haven't really had them jump out or anything. Are you running into problems with that? I'm reporting you for both spamming with generosity. Wouldn't that be awesome if the thing broke and YouTube had to analyze wait, what's going on here? Why did our thing break? Leave plants in the baskets or take them out. I've seen past videos of doing both. What's better? And is it normal for roots to grow out all over the plant? So stem plants usually will grow roots kind of through the whole thing. So that is a kind of a normal thing. As far as potted or not potted, in my opinion, most plants that want their nutrients from the roots, I like to leave potted. The ones that are water column feeders, so stem plants, I like to split them up and get them in the gravel or float them. If you float them, they're getting tons of light right at the top. That's one of my favorite ways. Let them float up there for a week or two, then plant them. I feel like maybe I'll do a video someday on my tips and my tricks. The problem is people are going to misconstrue it, right? So what I've had happen in the past is yeah, when you get a plant from Aquariumcoop, if you float it for a week or two, it's going to be awesome. And then competitors will be like, yeah, you don't need to do that with ours. And yet it's no, this is universal. It's not just our plants, you fool. I developed this thing before I ever sold plants. Plants closer to light do better, and then put them in gravel, do even better, whether it's our plant or not. But yeah, floating stem, any plant really, it gets closer to light, then it goes through a traumatic ride to get to you, and that's got to settle in. Mr. Jules says, "Can I have a membership?" Memberships are given away based on participation. So things that are participation, liking videos, watching videos, and actually watching them, not just I clicked in and I left, watching it, right? Typing in the chat, that's another engagement. Making sure you're subscribed, and longevity, right? So if you didn't get one, Mr. Jules, it probably means of the 200 people, 205 people that got them, you were just lower on the list, right? And so the best thing you can do if if you're on a budget and you can't afford a membership, I get it. The best thing you can be doing, liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing videos, all those things kind of build you a score. And whenever free memberships happen, as long as you're in the chat, it prioritizes that way. So I love that fact that it rewards people that are engaged, because that's been one of my big complaints of like, like I hate the fact that my employees, I still have no way to like gift membership specifically to employees. I'd obviously make it a feature of all the Aquariumcoop employees, you get a gifted membership. But there's no way to make that easy to happen yet, so. Fish Tank Barn coming with 5. Thanks, buddy. Of the 4-year. By the way, I saw the proofs for the 3 and 4-year coins. So they haven't been produced yet. Still working on, but coin 3, year 3, might be might be my favorite, even over my coin. I really like that one. So we'll have to see. All right. You have to also ensure you're set up to allow gifts. You're very right, Lefty. You do have to say that you opt in for the membership, and so on the screen when we do that, there should be somewhere of opting in, and you have to do that per channel, right? So if you did it for, Hank Hill's Hillstream Loach Extravaganza, the channel, then you'd have to do it for our channel as well, and it's supposed to be some safety measure of like not accidentally getting your kid a subscription to a channel they shouldn't be subscribing to or something. I guess that's the logic behind it. I got free memberships to 2 different channels while offline because I stay active and hit the thumbs up. All right, yeah, I wasn't sure if they were still doing that. They were talking about, I knew they were doing it for a while, but I wasn't sure if they're going to get rid of. So even if you're not in the live stream, you should be able to get one still. Make sure you're on a personal account to be able to accept. Oh, maybe like a brand account won't allow you. I'm sure there's some intricacies there. Can you buy 12-volt heaters, Corey? Kind of. I'm testing a thing that maybe I'll let you guys know. I bought a USB heated blanket thing. It's like this big. And what I want to test is, and I don't know when I'm getting to this, so don't hit me up next week like, so what's the result, Corey? Like, well, I probably didn't find time this week. But I want to test, what if you, like, put that against your aquarium, put a blanket over it, and plugged it into a battery bank? Would that heat that aquarium? Could I do that in a power outage? Because I do like to find ways to, I don't know, get around these things that the average person can do. Like, oh, you have 1 or 2 aquariums? Hey, this would be a great solution. Because not everyone's got 70 aquariums in a fish room, right? So I like to play with some stuff, and for like $20, I can play with that thing. $715 watching, only 327 likes. That's right. You want to get free memberships? You hit that like button. If you did get a free membership, hit that like button. If you like tacos, hit that like button. And I like tacos. Wait, I haven't hit my own like button. Hold on. It's 332. What do you know about that? Will pygmy corridors eat baby shrimp? Yes. But not enough you'll care, probably. I keep them together. Haven't really had a problem. Everything on the planet will pretty much eat a baby shrimp. Even like an amano shrimp will eat a baby shrimp. But that's why nature makes them breed like rabbits. So it's kind of like rabbits in my yard. Like, will that thing eat a rabbit? Yes. Why do you still have tons of rabbits? Oh, because they breed like rabbits. And shrimp are the same thing. Like, they're the lowest on the totem pole, so they better make 1 billion of them because we're getting eaten by everything. Baby shrimps are the tacos of the aquarium world. Ziploc bag and a hand heater can heat an aquarium? Yeah, potentially. The problem with the Ziploc bag and the heater is it does need access to oxygen. So you might have to like refill that bag a few times, that kind of stuff. I don't have enough data to do it, but from shipping with heat packs all the time, we have done lots of tests. But not in the water in a Ziploc bag scenario. Would you use CO2 for Amazon swords? No, I'm lazy. I mean, you should totally buy our regulators and everything, but if you just have some Amazon swords, just feed them an unlimited amount of root tabs and you'll have good luck. They grow pretty quick, honestly. You put CO2 to them, and then you're making tons of babies and all that. Like, it is good, just it doesn't need it though. I mean, I want to sell like 1,000 CO2 regulators today to the people that need them. Mr. Doodles, I feel like you're the person that doesn't need it though. But everybody else, if you're on the fence, buy ours because ours is awesome, and it's got manifolds, and it's good for days. We warranty it, like it's amazing. That's all. That's my only goal. My only goal is, well, if you were gonna buy this, buy the Aquariumcoop version because it's awesome, and we'll warranty the heck out of it, and we'll help you. If you weren't gonna buy one, don't charity buy one from us. But if you were gonna buy one, buy ours. I need that. I need the worst, like, quote sales pitch thing. Instead of enjoy nature daily, just have it be Aquariumcoop. If you were gonna buy one, buy ours. If you weren't looking to buy one, don't buy ours. I need that in like a shirt or something, where it's much shorter because that's too long to wear on a shirt. Corey, think heated car window elements you buy built into the glass. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I feel like we're going down a rabbit hole of yes, and that kind of exists. You can buy heat tape for using reptiles all the time. I'm looking for something that is like $20, plugs into a USB. My grandma could do it in a pinch. Not so much like we could re-engineer the entire aquarium hobby and make it easier with power outages. Like, yeah, it's true, but I'd rather put more attention towards towards other stuff in the hobby, I guess. This is so cool, but what can I do with my membership? That's a good point. If I was good at my job, I would have explained that already. What does a membership get you for the 200 people that has got one? So first, know that next Saturday, I believe, we will have Serpa Design talking on, is it vivariums and ripariums? That sounds right. So you get these extra talks. We pay them to give a talk, and only members can watch them. That's next Saturday at like 11 a.m. Pacific Coast time. You also, if you sync it up with the website, right? So you watch the video and you go, oh, I sync my account to the Aquariumcoop website. You save 5% on everything you buy while you have a membership. So that's good, right? What else do you get? Oh, if you're a member for at least a year, you'll get a membership coin, which I don't have that one up here at the moment, apparently. It doesn't matter. What else do you get? You can get discounts at some local stores that partner with us. So that happens also. You can get, let me just grab we have a whole list of things, and I can post a link. So that way you can go, oh yeah, you can buy member-only products on the website. So there's that too. Let's see what else. Yep, you get the chat during the live streams, member-only YouTube content, in-person events. If we do one and you're a member, you usually get extra stuff. Yeah, the scratch and dent member-only stuff, and there's member-only items. That's pretty much it. The problem I have is that while you want to be like, yeah, let's make membership awesome. The more awesome you make memberships, the less awesome everything is. Does that make sense? So like if I put everything behind a paywall and membership is dope, then there's nothing for free. And if I give everything for free, well then like, oh, membership doesn't look that cool. Yeah, so I lean towards like, hey, I try to give it away as much as I can. Are there member-only live streams on this channel? Not really. There used to be. And then I got lazy and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to live stream for a couple hours every Sunday. That's what I'm going to do. Sometimes there are. And I'll tell you this. Like, there's always something in the back of my brain going, ooh, could we one-up that for members? So there's some things I got working. I want to do some stuff. I got to make sure it's legal. But yes, that's the plan. Yes, you can save 5% off on that CO2 regulator. Don't mind if I do. How do we opt in? I didn't know that was a thing. When someone posts, when it says like, free memberships are given away, you got to click the button. It says, I want to be eligible for a free membership. How do I grow out brine shrimp in your hatchery to adult size? You don't. You would need like an aquarium or something else because the waste is going to build up way too. I shouldn't say you don't. It's possible, but you probably don't want to change saltwater like 6 times a day as they get bigger. So you need a larger aquarium to actually grow them out. On the forum, there's a whole post on how I breed brine shrimp because they're live bearers when they're happy outside. Oh yeah, and with the videos, by the way, it's like the expert or the live stream that you see on next Saturday. All the ones we've done in the past, you're able to watch also. So you can see like the aquatic vets, you can see the different ones on Corridora breeding, you can see the ones on fish with electrical signals. Like there's a bunch of stuff, and it's not always it's different levels. Some's real entry level, some's real nerdy, right? But there's something for everybody in there, so you can load up. I mean, a Korean Dean PopCap bobblehead? Yeah, maybe. Anubias rhizome rot, why? The world doesn't know yet. It's studied in labs all across the world, and they don't have a single cause for it. So, which it means if all the scientists can't figure it out, I can't figure it out. And I would also say, when random other company goes, oh, it's XYZ, and I go, oh yeah? You're smarter than all the scientists, huh? Like, all the farms deal with the Anubias rot, but you've got to figure it out somehow. Okay. How long till I can sync my account to the website? In theory, instantly? I don't know. I've never tested that part. But in theory, it should be, when you link it up, it should just check and be like, you're a member. There it is. That's how it should work. Maybe this will be awesome. If everyone that just got a new membership, if you link up your account and buy stuff, that data would be very beneficial to have. And then maybe there's like a good way for me to advertise. Like, let me just buy 100 memberships every day, and those people are likely to order and save 5%. And that's way better than like, hey, Google just got more of my money, instead of you guys getting a free membership and saving 5%. Only reason not joined on a fixed income in today. No problem, Dogman. Hang out, be active. You'll probably catch a free membership someday. Don't sweat it. How do I get the green around my comment? You have to be a member for at least a month. So in month 2, that's another benefit. That's not even on the benefit list. So you basically get a free super member comment every month after the first month, right? So it's a reward. Like, oh, each 30 days you've been a member, it gives you another one to use that month. Since you are in the first month, you haven't accrued that first one yet. But it allows me to, more visibility. I get to see Bruce saying, thanks, Alexander Engelhart. I've received memberships from his generous donations. See? There you go. He's been a member for 2 months. Looks like he's caught a free one twice. You know how I did that? Being active on the channel. It's like a naughty and nice list. It's Santa Claus coming to town, giving out free memberships. That's an idea. Maybe I could think of a good way to give out an insane amount of memberships. Hope everyone's having a great Sunday. Me too. Wish there was a life membership option. Me too. I do wish that. Some amount of money just like, boom, locked in. What do you guys, it's an interesting topic. What do you think, if it's $5 a month, what do you think a lifetime membership should cost? / what would you pay? So if you're like, I'm that person who would buy a lifetime membership, what level of trust do you have in the Aquarium Co-op? Because obviously, if it's like $5 a month, you're looking to like save money a little bit. But what if I like go out of business tomorrow, right? I mean, unlikely, but maybe you're like, oh, $250, but the recoup time on that is 4+ years. Then you're saving money, $100. Yeah, that could be. I'm not saying that's the right $100. I get it. Uh-oh. Lenny says his account won't sync on the website. Well, give it a try. Try restarting it. Try a different device. Try other things. Candy's probably just going, oh no, what has Corey done? It also might take a day. Who knows? Our basic thing is like, did you try turning it off and on again? Try a different device. See if YouTube just is broken today. And then after that we go, okay. Yeah. We'll look into this a little more. After your stream, I'm headed to April's Aquarium in Vancouver, BC, Canada, to pick up some root tabs. Excited that they're carrying their products now in Canada. That's right. We have our first store in Canada. More to come on that, I think. Got some more meetings this week. But, in the background, there's always work I'm doing with lots of other people on the teams. We don't just sit around playing video games. Wildcat's asking, what video games are you playing these days, Corey? I'm actually playing on a private EverQuest server since Friday. Played like 12 hours or something, which is a lot for me. Wait, since Friday? Yeah, since Friday. Called Retribution. But I could drop it real easy and just get swamped with work, so. Let's see here. I did the $20 6-month deal when it was a thing. Yeah, they had that. That was YouTube trying a thing, and whatever metrics they saw must have, must have not resonated, or the data was wrong. What do you guys think about this? Put your brains to this. Would you be a paying member, all right, if it only existed on our website? So like let's imagine you got the discount, there was the videos, but you didn't have the logo thing in chat on YouTube. And the reason I ask this is because I think there's more stuff we could probably figure out to do if we weren't limited by the YouTube platform. They kind of like, you can do this, can't do that, makes it hard to do some stuff. I have a feeling that most people wouldn't, like, we have like 3,000 members, right? I feel like only 1,000 would be on the website, and the other 2,000 would be like, I just did it because it was on YouTube. I don't know. So yeah, because I think we could do more stuff if we were able to control it all. But you wouldn't have the the badge on YouTube. You'd still get membership coins. I'd probably develop other stuff, but I'm considering electric blue a car on my 29 with pencilfish and Corey's. Would you be concerned? Not really. I think that would work out all right. For me, managing my memberships all in one place is much better. That's a good point. I forgot that, a lot of people have a lot of memberships to a lot of places on YouTube. I get it. Restart YouTube? Is that in response to somebody else? Like maybe to get their thing to sync? I like the badge. Makes you feel like a cool kid. There's something to that, I think. Yeah. Wouldn't have found you if you were on YouTube? Well, we'll definitely be on YouTube. Like, we're not going anywhere. It's just, like, signing up through YouTube versus signing up through our website. That's really the difference we're talking about there. I got an itchy nose. If you ever picked your nose in front of 700 people, I have before. It's a good look. Your website is my first resource, but resource now, but I discovered it on YouTube. Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah. Was there anything special I needed to do to convert aquatic plants to a paludarium? Mostly humidity and stuff, but nothing specific to do, really. How about a different selection of plants for members only? That's an interesting concept, Chris, because there are some plants where sparingly they're available. That's not impossible, because if there's a plant we can only get like 20 of every 2 weeks, on our website, that just makes Candy's life hell. But if it was member only, less people have a chance to even buy it, less hell for Candy. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Might be something there. Badges are like rewards on games. Well, here's like my idea, right? I want it, like we've had this idea for probably 5 years because we're ultra nerds. What if you were like, you bought your membership on the website and every dollar you ever spent on goods was like experience for your character, and you could unlock different rewards, so like you have an avatar and you're chatting on the blog posts and the forums and things like that, and you got your badge, but then also you could get like extra thingies and all of that. Like, we wanted to make it so it's almost like a little game where you're like equipping your aquarium or your tank or your guy or something, but I don't know. Also, being a member cuts out slow mode, so us talkers aren't hindered. Yeah, if it was on our website, though, what if we had our own chat room on the website integrated with maybe some kind of other bonus that could be a thing, maybe. Don't know. It's all work. By the way, all this is work, so it could never happen. I don't use the website so often because I'm outside the US. I do read the articles. Yeah, that definitely is a point that I've taken into consideration of, like, international, not great. But then there's also countries that can't become a YouTube member either, so that sucks. It's like MMORPGs, you're willing to do crazy things for the most useless return, which is just saying to everyone around you, I did a thing. I know. What if you got extra like nerdy glasses after you've opened 100 newsletters or something? Like, I think there could be all kinds of just funny little quirky things that I come up with. Whereas like YouTube, there's no way to, like, if Murphy all of a sudden had glasses on him, you got this different badge because you've opened 100 newsletters. I think that'd be cool. People are like, how'd you get that? I was on that newsletter grind. Yeah, the co-op RPG. That's literally what we were thinking of it as, like, how do you improve stats? How do you, like, the more you spend, maybe you level up and then maybe you get a discount or you get access to buy something. Like, I don't know, a way to have nerdy fun with a lot of work. Somehow I always come up with these ideas like, yeah, that costs a lot of money and work, but like, I'd have fun for a couple years. If you take it to your website, would it reduce YouTube's revenue? I'd be good with that. It would, yeah, it would. I should have got a membership before my last order. Would have paid for itself. Bow wow. Become a member now. Email Candy. We'll refund you the 5%. We'll do that. It's a pain in the butt, but we'll do it. If you buy a regulator and another thing, and then you listen to live stream midweek. Wait a second, I could have saved 5%. All you got to do, become a member, sync your account. We can look it up going, hey, they got a synced account. Boom, let's refund them 5% of their order. Easy peasy. Which supports your business more, membership or ordering plants and supplies? I thought I heard you say shipping costs a lot. Been trying to order from small businesses more than Amazon. It's hard to say. I think overall ordering from us is a better deal for us. That being said, membership takes like not no work, but I think ordering from us is best. If you were to say, what would you rather me do, Corey? I would say order from us. You can pick out products you like. Easy peasy. Let's see. Are wattages listed on the Aquariumcoop lights at its brightest settings? Yes. And to be fair, Daryl Wong, sorry, I have not had a wattage meter connected while dimming. Because some transformers will just run at full watts no matter what. and then it'll, as you dim it down, it just, yeah. So what I'm trying to get to is, um, I'm not sure that running it more dim will save you electricity. Shipping is not that much. I mean, I think we spent 140 grand on it last month. The only thing that really hurts us is when you buy like one airstone. So it's like 249, you pay $8 in shipping, and then we spend $10 to ship it to you, and you're like, oh, we lost 12 cents. But ordering plants and other stuff, like most combinations work out just fine. And yeah, long term, I'd much rather you have just be our customer and we have a good working relationship than a member. So, am I still producing videos? Yes. I mean, yes. You're here in a live stream. I mean, I recorded a video last week and the one before, and yeah. Oh, Anthony says, no, I meant for the customer. Yeah, I mean, it's $7.99, or if you spend $79.99, it's free shipping. You got it, Anthony. You got it. Will black brush algae follow with plants and hardness from tank to tank? They will, Nicholas. Yep. You want to try and get rid of that or get some animals to eat that for you. Let's see. I'm not doing that. Corey, between my time and Candy's time, it would cost everyone way more than the $6 I would get back. Hey, whatever makes people's lives easy, Desert, everyone's got their own different thing. I always like to think back, if I could save $6, let's say I saved up, right? Let's say I saved up for 4 months and I bought $100 worth of aquarium stuff. And this is at the time where I'm eating top ramen because I'm poor. An email that gets me $5 back, that's a lot of top ramen it buys. That's all I'm saying. So it just depends on where you're at. We don't want to be the gatekeepers. So if you need that $5, email us. If you don't want that $5, don't email us, but don't feel guilty about it. Email us, get your $5 back, that's fine. Or whatever, like the 5%, right? And I appreciate that. I kind of look at that, Desert, it's like a tip. Like, hey, I'm not that worried about it. I'm just glad to be synced up now. Going forward, it'll be good. Yeah, Candy says that's what I'm here for. Exactly right. If no one ever contacts customer service, that'll be a problem. We won't have a job for Candy. At the same token, we don't need everybody to be like, hey, I think my aquarium thing's thinking about doing a thing. What thing should I think about? Like there's definitely a balance of, ooh, nice, healthy questions and customer service, and this is going great. And then there's, just lonely people that are like, could you call me? I'd like to chat for an hour and a half. Yeah, can't really do that. The internet as a whole hasn't figured out, like, I know this, and a lot of my friends know this. You know how whenever you get there, like, hey, could you just give me a call real quick? It's never just real quick. It's like 17 minutes at the minimum. That amplified out on customer service is what doesn't work. I do laugh that most companies get rid of and it's because, it's like you pick up the phone and it's your grandma, and it's like, oh, I just lost an hour. Like, and it's not that you don't want to talk to them, it's that it takes some time. So that's why we had to limit that, because there are people that, they're excited to talk to me or Candy or something, and, they got questions and they're very valid and we want to address them. And we don't want a barrier of entry of, like, if you're not willing to type it out, but most people are willing to ask question after question, and we don't want to have to spend time training people like how to get out of that, of like, they're on question 9, what do I do? Instead, hey, if you type it up, we'll try our best to answer it. I can't wait for the new part of the store to be open so I can come visit. I love fish stores since I was a kid. Spent many, many, many hours looking at pretty fish. Yeah, I'm excited too. I keep meaning to like go there. What was last time? Power outage. What was time before that? Oh, like I was gonna go there this Thursday because I gotta get a haircut, but I gotta take the dogs to the groomers too. No, it's Dean afterwards. We're gonna film, so I gotta like break out of the haircut, boom, straight to back here so I can film with Dean. So yes, we are producing videos. Or you can imagine that angry customer talking over the phone. Yeah, I mean, I love talking to people in person because the odds at which they are angry are less. Because I'm just this guy, you're screaming at me, and I'm like, mm-hmm. And the best way to diffuse any angry person is just to straight up ask them. This anyone in customer service, this is the best possible way to diffuse someone who's like screaming at you. You calmly just go, what is the outcome you'd like to see today? And they instantly have to stop and go, I want my refund. And you go, no problem. Right? The one I'll never forget is I asked them, I go, what is the outcome you'd like to see today? I don't know if it was a dead fish. I don't know. I don't remember why they were crazy upset. And they literally came back with, I just needed to rant at you. And I go, all right, are we done? Like once they realized, they like went through the decision tree in their mind of like, what am I trying to accomplish? I'm so angry right now. And they realized I just wanted to yell at them. Well, we've done that. But that's the easiest thing because it's really easy when you have someone who's upset to guess wrong, right? And so you're going, well, their fish died. They're really upset. Let's give them their money back. We've had a backfire. You're just trying to buy me off. Like, nope. I was actually just trying to make you happy. And then you could go, how about I get you another fish? Yeah, you just want me to go away. Like, yes, but honestly, I'm just trying to make you happy. So the easiest part is to start with, what is the outcome you'd like to see today? Because sometimes they might say, I don't want another fish. I just want you to know that this fish died. And you go, great. I know that this fish has died. We've gone over here and we looked. There's no other sick ones. We've addressed your concerns. What else can I do for you today? Yeah. Which stores are we partners with? We have a link that maybe Candy will get, but on the website, you go to the retail partner store list. There's like 60 stores on there now. Which, by the way, if you're thinking about becoming a partner store, I recommend it. We have business videos that I do. Maybe I'll do a business video on what I've learned and how to handle different customer service situations in your physical retail store. Because if you work in a store, people can get very emotional, whether it's very angry or very upset and are crying, or these are animals we're dealing with here. And so evaluating each situation allows you to have the best possible chance of a good outcome for both people. If you misunderstand a situation, it's easier to amplify things and make it worse. And so a lot of times just slowing yourself down and slowing the customer down, you're more likely to get a good outcome. By everyone slowing down, that's where you get that, let's slow down, take a deep breath, but doing it in your own way of like just getting down to what is the correct answer for this person here? Can we accommodate that? Great, let's do that. Why can't I type while casting to my TV? I don't know that answer. I've been 17 months a member, but around 5 years, give or take, I've been seeing your content. Well, thanks, mental gentleman. That's a little hard to say. How much does the membership cost? $5, $4.99. As a garden center manager, I give people back whatever they want and sometimes more because it's live plants and fish. Yeah, I mean, our rule is just always make it right with the customer. Like my decision tree is, did we make it right for the customer? What'd they ask for? Did we make it right? Then we can evaluate, do we want to keep them as a customer? But the first thing is make it right. Because if then we decide we don't want them as a customer anymore, when they talk to their friends, they'll still be like, well, I can't shop there anymore, but yes, they did make it right. That's our goal. And I've had to do some pretty bad stuff back in the past. I remember like the first 2 months I was open, I gave advice someone did it completely incorrectly, killed all their discus, and I gave them a $500 store credit on a product that was $13. And it was because it wasn't worth losing the reputation with the bad reviews and all of that, even though I knew I was in the right. At a certain point in business, you have to realize it's a bigger game than are you right or wrong. There's times all the time we know we're correct, but we know that it's a better decision for the business to let the other person win. So, yeah. What can I do with a partner membership at your other stores? You can save 5% if it says they are allowing that. So you go to our retail partners for Finder, and there's a little check mark that says like gives a discount or whatever, and they'll also give you 5% there. And that would be on everything. So not just our products. And they don't have to participate. It's optional. So we tell them that, well, people are going to want to come in for Aquariumcoop products. They're more likely to want to buy fish and plants and other stuff from you if they're getting a 5% on everything they buy at your store. And then I let them know, like, it's the cheapest advertising you could have. If I could bring people into my store that have never heard of my store before, and I just got to give them a 5% discount, pretty good. But not everyone participates, so that's up to them. And we don't push it. We don't think of them negatively. Everyone's got a different business model. Some make sense, some doesn't. But you guys can choose whether you want to go to somewhere that does give you that discount or not. Because you might have a store that's 2 minutes away that doesn't. I'd still just go there. I'm lazy. That's a good... Captain says, customer divorces are always painful, but sometimes customers just end up costing you far too much. You're very right in that it is like a breakup thing. Because it's never easy. It's always messy. People get very angry when you tell them, just so you know, we won't be fulfilling any of your orders. We'll be refunding your money from here on out. We don't want to sell to you anymore. They get very, very angry most often. But it's not worth fighting with them like, do you realize how far you've gone off the beaten path when it's our job to want your money and we're saying we don't want your money? That's literally our job and the only way we stay in business, and we've decided we don't want your money. Usually it's a time to reflect and go, where did I go wrong? It's like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't have swore at customer service. Maybe you shouldn't have done this and that. Like, you kind of flew off the handle. We don't want to subject our people to that. Yeah. My power head stopped running. Impeller seized. Oh, the Aquariumcoop one. So the ways that I would check it, like if it was in my hands right now, I would check, is the magnet swollen at all? Usually when something seizes, something gets in there or it runs dry, it gets too hot, and the magnet will expand and crack. If that hasn't happened, the next thing I do, the troubleshooting tip that I've done for many, many years, if you have the magnet, hold it on the outside. Do you feel any vibration at all? If you feel vibration, the motor is intact and working. So then you know, okay, something with this impeller. Put it back in, maybe it'll work. Like, oh, I just have some crud in there. Or sometimes the thing that is most common with impellers is that the magnet and the glue from the plastic to the magnet came undone, in which case you would need a new impeller. That's the most common thing for all filters and power heads and things like that. Obviously, without being in my hands, I don't know exactly where it's going wrong, but those are the things I would start troubleshooting, and drop us a line. We'll make it right. All right. Customer is always right is a BS concept. Nope. That's usually what businesses say before they go out of business. Like, if you're taking it at a face value statement of like, well, obviously the customer's not always right. If they walk in and say, I'm the president, like clearly they're not always right. It's a much bigger concept in a way of thinking of, if your sole purpose to exist is to serve a customer and your business has failed to serve the customer, your business isn't working. Now, maybe you have to redefine and you were never meant to. Like if I'm a dog groomer, I haven't failed the customer if I didn't give them a haircut to their human body. right? So, but the concept of the customer is always right. If you hold that as your North Star and your business isn't coming out with right results, you need to redefine what it is you're doing and the expectations, right? And so you obviously have to qualify the customer as is what they're saying even within the realm of a true statement, right? If the customer says like this Diet Coke can is a dog, like we know that's not right. But if they're saying, oh, you sell aquarium plants, I'd like to buy some, and then it doesn't work, the customer is right in that they did attempt to buy aquarium plants and we do sell it. How have we failed it? Oh, they wanted to pay 12 cents. We sell them for $12. But as a concept, it's a good starting point to work backwards from of like, I want to see my customer be successful. How do we make them be right? How do we turn this statement that is incorrect right now into a right statement? And you might find there are things in business of like, well, that's not going to work. But you might go, if I attack this problem from a different angle, it does work for both of us still. So, but you still can't please all? I don't know. That's an incorrect statement. Look at like Amazon. I believe Amazon could please everybody forever and still remain profitable. Now you're going to be like, but they do ban some people. And I go, yeah, they could probably just take the profit margin loss and just accomplish it. Like, obviously, if we avoid the absolute extremes of Amazon made me angry, they didn't give me $400 billion. But in terms of shipping packages to a home, let's say you have a home that has no, like, the package is stolen off the porch every time. They could still ship to it forever and they'd be profitable. Now, there's obviously some things like, oh, we're going to choose not to do that, or they could choose a different model where they offer the service customer pickup only, like whatever. But in general, the customer always being right is a North Star to achieve and a philosophy to think about and not a statement of fact. That's the difference. Yeah. So, have I ever kept freshwater clams? Yes, I have. Filter feeders, and you could spam it like 1/10 the amount of times, casual aquatics, and I will see it. I just hadn't addressed it yet. But yes, I've probably kept 20,000 clams in my life, filter feeders. I find that most hobbyists don't keep them alive long term because they're not good at filter feeding and they run too much filtration. It ends up gobbling it up. They want to passively eat most of the time. So I don't think clams and mussels and things like that make good aquarium pets for most people without lots of consideration for it. They're usually sold as like, ooh, that'd be fun to have one, and not so much like I'm setting up a hardcore, mussel or clam scenario. So the statement has a lot more to do with how to talk to the customer than whether or not the customer is always right. True. I mean, there's so many things. Like, imagine, let's say you're the Ferrari dealership and you've sold this family 27 Ferraris. And then they come in and they say, Bob over there did this thing to me that is impossible. Like, Bob didn't say you could have 10 Ferraris for free, right? But you still have to treat the customer like they're right and not insane because they've spent so much money, right? You have to find the happy medium there. That's what it goes back to. All right, I'm calling it. It's been 2 hours and 13 minutes. I'm a little bit parched. And I got stuff to work on in the background, so I got stuff to do. Hopefully you guys had a good time. I know I did. I will see you next Wednesday. Thanks for hanging out. Hopefully you got a question answered. If you didn't, hop into our Facebook group or our forum or the comment section here. People will be talking, and hopefully we'll get it answered. So have a good day. Finish up your maintenance, and we'll talk to you later. My button doesn't work, so maybe we're not. I hit the end button. There we go. Woo!